it was so interesting that they chose two family businesses. That's not usually the case. Especially for like the big city marketing ad person, usually comes from a firm that's like anti-Christmas and dilute. Like, I loved that his dad at the end was like, Brady, just be happy, man.
Hey, y'all, we're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Kristen.
And I'm Dr. Erin.
And we are delighted to welcome you to our conversation about Lifetime's Baking Spirits Bright as part of our holiday movie coverage of 2022. If you are following our holiday...
2021.
2021. Guys, I'm trying so hard to make it next year.
You guys,
I'm just trying.
It's been a year, y'all. It's been a year.
Oh, man. Okay, so holiday coverage of 2021. And there are, if you follow our coverage, you'll note that last week's was not a happy occasion, but this week's is significantly happier. We both loved this movie, and would definitely recommend a watch of it. It's on, in the United States, it is on demand on Lifetime. I believe it's available on their app as well, because everything's available on their app. So it's the story of the Varma Fruitcakes family business, the daughter, Mira, who believes deeply in tradition, and the hot guy whose name I cannot remember right now.
Hold on, I have it written down somewhere. Brady,
whose marketing firm was hired to kind of resurrect the brand and in a certain way make fruitcakes sexy.
Yeah.
Because they're having trouble selling fruitcakes. Yeah. So this is a enemies to lovers tale. Mira is immediately skeptical of Brady.
Yeah.
Brady is immediately annoyed by Mira. And for both of them, I would say I completely understand why. It totally makes sense. So Mira is in love with tradition because this is her Nani's fruitcake. We should say that Mira is, she tells us several times, a first-generation Indian American. Mm-hmm. And that identity is baked into who she is, pun intended, and is a big part of why she is so clear that there are things about the fruitcake, about Varma, that cannot be changed. Yeah. That it's so core to who she is and what the fruitcake is and what the company is. And it takes Brady a little while to come around on that. And then there's some other plot machinations. And so there's kind of like maybe something kind of goes wrong. Then they have to redeem and blah, 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 blah. Happily ever after, et cetera, et cetera. But what I truly loved about this, first of all, it was just like casually Indian. Like there was just Hindi in there. There was at one point he asks her, do you want to be called Mira or Beta? And she's like, Beta is actually Hindi for daughter. Like it's a term of endearment, which is the kind of thing that like you have to explain to people who aren't part of your culture in this very gentle, natural, normal, specific way. Yeah. I was also a sucker for all of her conversations about legacy, as the oldest daughter in the family business. I felt a lot of what she said about legacy and feeling that. I will say, in my family, if they had hired a marketing person behind my back, my brother and father would have heard about it a whole lot more than Mira's parents did. Let me tell you. I was like, this is not how we do things. I loved her sister, and the banter between the sisters is so amazing.
So realistic.
The brother finds love with the assistant that comes with Brady, so we get a delightful gay flirting, which was so much fun and natural and cute. And actually, that was one of those things I wish the movie was 2.5 hours, so we could have unpacked them more and gotten a little bit more time.
I loved that they weren't, like, that it wasn't the plot point at any stage. It was very Schitt's Creek. Yes. In how it approached it, and just like, these are humans living life and they found love with each other. And their relationship, like, we followed the development of their relationship a little bit, but it was never, like, in jeopardy.
No.
Like, they, like, understood each other. They had some really lovely conversations about following their dreams and, like, built a relationship, how humans build a relationship. So I loved Jay and Finn for the fact that they were adorable.
Oh, totally.
And both in humans and in their relationship, and just low-key casual. I like all of the casual Indian stuff was great. For me, I think the best bit of that was the story she told about why her nonni started making the fruitcakes. And it was such a beautifully told story about immigration and change and cultural adaptation. And, you know, this is a traditional plum cake in India, she describes. But she was like the only Indian girl at her school and felt really left out at Christmas time, had never celebrated. Her parents, in very typical, in this instance, immigrant identity and culture, but especially in Indian culture, were like running their business the whole, like, totally focused on running the business, had to make a life for their children. They moved to this new country. And so she was left with her nonni, and she felt so bad for her granddaughter that she was excluded, that she, like, started making these fruitcakes and teaching her how to make the fruitcakes. And y'all, like, even the rest of the movie could have been crap, and it would have got me with that story, because it was so clearly, and this is what we love about when diversity is done right and when inclusion is done right. That's a story that people tell. That's a story, we know folks who have told that story, and that's been their story of immigration and assimilation and change and all of that. And it clearly, you know, in last week, if you watched, we weren't even sure that Hallmark had talked to a writer about what it was like to be a writer. They clearly knew or talked to somebody about what it's like to be a first-generation immigrant or a first immigrant and all of that stuff. So for me, I was just like, chef, way to go, Lifetime. Real humans have stories, and you don't have to fake the stories. Like,
no, I loved that she said my noni was going to make sure we were the best at Christmas.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah.
Yeah. It's stunning. I also love this conversation. I mean, really the through line is tradition. Yeah. And at one point, Mira says to the ad guy, to the marketing guy, you can't fake tradition. And I just started laughing. Because
amazing.
You can absolutely fake tradition. You can absolutely fake any of these things. Traditions are entirely made up anyway.
Yeah.
And what you can't make up is the love that she's talking about. And that's what she really comes to, that if the love that is baked into the fruitcake, you know, transcends it, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, just my noni was going to be the best at Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. And how much her family embraced that tradition as well. And yeah, I mean, I love how quickly he poked at her, like, you can't fake tradition. And then he told her that story and was like, that was an ad campaign I did. But he also has to, you know, get to the place where Christmas is not the only the ultimate ad campaign, which is his family business. So I think it was so interesting that they chose two family businesses. That's not usually the case, especially for, like, the big city marketing ad person. Usually comes from a firm that's, like, anti-Christmas and like, I loved that his dad at the end was like, Brady, just be happy, man. Like, I want you to want to do this. So, like, go after what you want. Instead of, like, no, we have to do that. Like, they could have done, and I'm going to call it, they could have done the Hallmark things and, like, forced confrontation and conflict.
Exactly. The conflict in this was adulthood.
Yeah. It's
like,
hard.
It's hard. Life is hard. Figuring this out is hard. There was no manufactured drama here.
Right.
This was just the drama of humans trying to live together. And those are my favorite kind of stories that feel completely grounded. There wasn't excessive turtlenecks. that I don't believe was realistic.
I know you don't like the turtlenecks. They both wore a lot of turtlenecks.
They just wore a lot of them. It's not, well, I mean, I can't wear them. I hate them. But even like personally, feel like I don't like the feeling. But I just don't feel like they're that ubiquitous in culture where like they're every single item of clothing you own and all of your friends only own turtlenecks. So at one point I wrote down like, was there a sale at the turtleneck store? Like, what is going on here?
While you were saying that, I was looking up because I want to shout out all the actors really from the family. I mean, I thought the guy that played Brady was okay. He was good. Yeah. There were parts where he was a little hot toast. But the actress who played Meera Varma, Rekha Sharma,
she was incredible.
Fantastic. Like, she was so believable in every scene, so real. I never felt like she was delivering lines.
No, it was like, she was so subtle, but never cold or unfeeling. Like,
yeah. And like the same, Manoj Sood is her father. Praneet Akila is her brother. Adila Dosani was her sister. And Nimet Kanji was the mom of the Varma family. And all of them, they felt like a real family. I was like, this is a real family. And then I looked them up and I was like, oh, you mean they're not related? Like, they were so believable.
Yeah, and the parents' matchmaking is super believable. Like, that's also just something we know is a stereotype and a reality for a lot of Asian children, is that their parents try to set them up, and her dad's thing, it's my job to see you settled. That's a very Indian immigrant statement to make without it being, we are doing the diversity Indian thing. Like, this is just very to their culture. Mm-hmm. I could talk about the tension between legacy and innovation forever. It fascinates me endlessly. So I admit that I was a sucker for this even before it got good, because I love this plot so much. I think I wrote down 5 pieces of mistletoe for me.
5 mistletoes. And I think too, like, they did such a great job with the 3 Varma children, of exploring that tension. Yeah. And how, they're different ages, and Meera talks about how her and Jay kind of grew up together, and then Manisha was had a little bit later, and so she had a different relationship with her parents and with the business and with their nonni than Jay and Meera did. So like the generational parts of it were really cool for me too, and felt really natural and normal, but I loved how there's always that pressure, especially in a family business, especially in legacy, especially with first generation, second generation immigrants, to, make your family proud and to follow on with this legacy and tradition, and the tension that Jay and Manisha felt was really authentic. Do I buy that Jay was a almost Olympic snowboarder? That was really weird. I was like, can you just make Jay want to be like a graphic designer or something?
That was a little bit too like, oh, come on, guys. That was a little bit too much.
Yeah, he wants to be a coach for Olympic snowboarders. I was like, that was a bit weird.
The sister wanting to go to Paris totally fits.
Oh, yeah,
so,
yeah.
That totally fit. That was fine. And I love how they said that and everything else. And it's important, too, to remember that family business doesn't include every member of the family, which is a fallacy a lot of families make. Like, that daughter would have sunk that business because she hates fruitcake.
We're not all the Sacklers,
We're not all the Sacklers.
Not everybody has to be involved. The only other thing, and I lost it on my notes really quick, that I wanted to bring up was 2 things. One, I get really annoyed. Yeah, I know you got annoyed by all the turtlenecks. I get annoyed when the heroine has 18 winter coats.
Oh, yeah. My God, nobody has that many. Yep.
Every scene, you have a different winter coat on. No, that's nonsense. I would like to say Meera had the same coat the whole time and the same scarf. And I was like,
which is
you know
what the rest of us do.
I have the same coat and I switch out scarves. And so I appreciate that, like, it doesn't have to be a fashion show. And the other point I wanted to make, that we had real casual diversity with Tim being a widow.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't a major plot point. it wasn't like, there was a little bit of Brady thinking she was involved with Tim, and her letting Brady think that she was involved with Tim, but not real tension around it. But, like, super casual, like, it's been really hard for me, and I met this other woman in a widow support group, and I was like, humans are all kinds of interesting if you just let them be humans.
I loved that the fruitcake tastes really good because it's not actually fruitcake. It's traditional spiced Kerala plum cake.
Yes.
So, like, what's the crazy thing, and Danish fruitcake is called Julika bread, and Danish fruitcake is delicious. It's moist and wonderful. So really the fruitcake we all hate is the Americanized version of all of these gorgeous traditional fruit breads from all over the world. My mom makes Julika bread every Christmas, and I love it because it's got that spiced, it tastes like Christmas. And that's what, when she was talking, if there's cardamom in that cake, which she confirms in a really cute scene, then I would like it right now. And that's probably why it tastes so good. So yes, 5 mistletoe from us on this. However, bingo report, I think we fail.
We do fail. It was darn close, y'all. We almost had bingo in like 4 different lines of our bingo card. But in one instance, we were missing, main characters weren't solving a mystery or having an adventure. In another one, the closest one we had was save a local business, Christmas song in the background, which is a given, diverse lead, several fake hot shots, so much fake drinks in this one.
Although not super fake, because at one point they did a toast and the whipped cream moved, like there was liquid in it.
And one time I think there was like a slurp sound, and I don't know if they were actually drinking or just making the slurp sound, but I'll take it. So maybe not so fake, but still lots of fake drinks. But it wasn't set or filmed in a foreign location. So sadly, no go. But as we have seen, if we get bingo, it wasn't a good film. And if we don't, so like the first and third ones we covered, we didn't get bingo, but we liked those movies. And last week we got bingo and we were bored to tears. So
let's see what our 4th movie of 2021 holds, which is Under the Christmas Tree. It's another Lifetime, so fingers crossed. So we will see you next either episode or week or whenever you are hearing this or seeing this. We'll see you for Under the Christmas Tree. We are excited. We hope it is more in this category than last week's category, in which it was called A Christmas Treasure but should have been called A Christmas Nothing. So glad the Under the Christmas Tree, we have some high hopes. Until then, we hope that you have a season full of both tradition and innovation, and that innovation comes in the form of hope as we do look forward to 22. All the best, y'all.
Take care, everybody.